Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. We are closing in on 500. We need your help to do it, though. Be sure to do that.
Yeah, we're talking NFL today. A lot of big storylines, a lot of quarterback storylines. Aaron Rodgers not looking great. Jameis Winston is a guy. Joe Flacco becomes the starter for the rest of the season, apparently. That Stan Steichen just said. What game do you want to talk about first from this weekend?
Oh, looking at it, I think we start with one of the earlier games. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the Jets Patriots. This was a surprising game. Two dog shit teams, but trajectories going in different directions. Or it seems like staying the same. The Patriots still beat the Jets. What are your thoughts? Because this was supposed to be a bounce back game, a certified win for the Jets, and it ends up not being.
Why do I keep betting the Jets? I am pissed. I keep thinking Aaron Rodgers, Devontae, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. They have so much talent. They should win these games. And for some reason, at the end, they just keep finding ways to lose games. It's not a cohesive unit. The offense is still stale. Like, they're only putting up 22 points with all this talent. Rodgers is banged up. You got shoulder, knees, hamstring, elbows, knees, and toes. Like, everything on this guy is hurt. And the list for the injuries on this Jets team is really long. Like, over 10 players this week did not participate. And they have a short week. They're going in Thursday night against the Texans. Texans are plus 100 underdogs. I'm betting the house on Texans because I'm tired of week after week believing that the Jets are better than what they are. And they're just a bad football team. Poorly coached, not cohesive. They don't have any energy, and the defense is terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a Patriots team that we talked about last week. There was rumblings of Gerard Mayo being fired, and if not being fired, like I'm pretty sure, realistically, he was on a hotter seat than we all expected. You know what I mean? Because this organization is not used to losing. Seems like even then, even in the win, the Patriots receivers just can't catch the fucking ball. Like they're dropping everything left and right. I don't know what happened to Kayshon Butte in the last few years, but he just cannot catch the ball. And when he does, it's like, oh, cool, that's a catch. So all the things were going against the Patriots, and the Patriots, they should have lost this game. They should have like tanked it realistically for their future. But I mean, you get a win and you keep owning the Jets. Like that's just one thing that's never gonna like, death, taxes, and the Patriots beating the Jets. It's just gonna happen. And so I don't know where you go from here if you're the Jets, because where do you go to get that pop? Where do you go to get that second win? It should have been realistically when you hired the interim coach, you moved him up. And realistic, it looks like Jeff Ulbrich is just kind of out of wits over there. Like he doesn't have any answers for this team. He can't provide a spark, and he can't do his due diligence on the defensive side. But you can't move him out of the interim spot because you don't have it. The offensive coordinator is Nate Hackett, who's sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, who do you turn to now? Because Nate Hackett clearly not going to help this team. And then you have the play caller, like he's never coached before. And you pulled Jeff Ulbrich away from his main thing that was doing well. And if you switch now, you'd pull the offensive play caller away from what he's trying to do and do something he's never done before, which is coach the whole team. I mean, and even the special teams is bad. There's no more moves for them to make. They are what they are. They're a bad team. Even Hassan Reddick came back. He was bad, out of shape, making very bad plays. The receivers just don't see. Even Lazard's hurt this week. You can go by unit on everything on this Jets team, and it's just not working. It's not looking good, and I don't fully understand why, but all signs point to Aaron Rodgers. Like he is the Jets team right now. He is the guy who put this together. He's the guy that they're turning to for every decision, and he's the guy that isn't what he used to be. And that's just he's a below average quarterback right now. And that's not going to win them games. They won more games with Zach Wilson at this point last season, and that's insane because Zach Wilson was getting shit on like crazy, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is getting that same level. until maybe they fall apart. I expect Aaron Rodgers to go on IR at some point and really just try to block out this season out of his mind.
Do you think he's going to retire after this season?
No, there's no way. No, his ego, he does not want to go out like this. But only a desperate team would go after him next season. Maybe like the Panthers want a bridge quarterback. The Browns maybe could, if he wants to take like a very very team friendly deal and Deshaun's not ready. I don't see what team would be like, oh, Aaron Rodgers after this season is our guy.
I think he retires after the season. I mean, where do you go from here? You looked old. You looked hurt. You looked like you couldn't keep up in this league. It's not like he is the last. He is like basically Peyton Manning on his last legs, like before the season they won the Super Bowl, where it's like I can't even throw. I'm getting replaced by Brock Osweiler, but I'll go in there and I'll hand off the ball. But like, there's no redeeming qualities to Aaron Rodgers' play and his attitude and what he brings to the organization. There's nothing that you could say, yeah, I want to bring that guy into the building. I think he retires. And I mean, if he doesn't, if you're the Jets, do you look at him and you're like, okay, we got to run it back, but we have to do it our way? No, I don't think you do that. I think you have to move away. I think you have to draft a quarterback because it's trending towards you getting a very high draft pick. But even then, we kind of looking at the college landscape, there's no standout guy amongst the quarterbacks. I mean, realistically, he's playing himself into it through the rest of this year is Shedeur Sanders.
And then you want to drop Shedeur in New York with that media,
with
big
that
city
line.
I think Shedeur would work a lot better in a smaller market where he can just be the guy, and there's not going to be like in season. I'm not saying he's not locked in, but in season, let's make it about football. Off season, you go do your media stuff because you know he's going to do a bunch of commercials, going to do all this stuff. But I just think there's so much going on in New York for Shedeur, and then on top of that, the team is going to have high expectations. So
honestly, I don't think they should. Like, they're a fucking trash franchise. Like,
but every year we do this. Every year they're a quarterback away. They're a quarterback away. They're clearly not a quarterback away.
But it's you know what? It's not a quarterback away. Like, that should be more concerning to them, that it's not just, oh, well, if we just had a quarterback to put into place, like they thought that with Zach Wilson. If we just have a quarterback to pop into place, we're going to be a championship level team. But look at, like, Garrett Wilson is fading, and I don't know if that's just again because of the offense and like Aaron Rodgers not being able to get him the ball. Sauce Gardner, he fucking sucks. Like, what are we like? Is he just a guy that like, oh, okay, we thought was going to be good coming out? He had a really good rookie season, but he just know his name and like, oh, it's a cool nickname, and now he works with Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, he's just not good. He's getting dunked on constantly throughout this season, and it's crazy to see.
I don't know. Well,
and it's not a position that you depend on anybody else. You're a fucking corner. It's one-on-one, mano-a-mano, and you get fucking worked.
Let's talk about the craziest finish this week. The Commanders and the Bears, the battle of the 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the draft this year. Caleb Williams was not good through 3.5 quarters in this game, if that's fair to say. He had like 30 yards. The team was struggling other than a really long touchdown run. Jaden Daniels played with hurt ribs, looked great out there, and then hits this crazy Hail Mary. I don't know if it's luck. I don't know if it was skill that they practiced it so much, and the Bears had Tyreek Stevenson out there celebrating during the play. Does this define that Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams right now? Or was it just a great battle? Where do you see that this put these two?
I mean, in no world is Caleb Williams having a better season than Jaden Daniels ever. Like, even if they won this game, you can make the argument. And I was like trying to shape an argument after this. Like, okay, like when I thought Caleb Williams hit 2 back-to-back game-winning drives, which let's talk about that. That was ridiculous. But anyways, let's stick to this conversation. I was like, okay, well, in the head-to-head, Caleb Williams beat Jaden Daniels. That means that he has a chance, if he plays good the rest of the season and this defense keeps them in games and he continues to go out there and win, he has the argument, hey, I am a winner. It doesn't matter my stat line. I just go out there and I put up W's and I put us in the best position to win, right? Then you could say, okay, well, I have the head-to-head win against Jaden. Yeah, he's putting up numbers and he's doing all this, but I've taken this trash franchise that is historically bad, that never had a good quarterback, and I've taken them to the playoffs, and I've then done things right. Now that all gets wiped because the main facet of this team, which is the Chicago Bears defense, let them down. And that is so crazy. I think that is a bigger knife in the heart than the actual Hail Mary itself. It's what happened on that play, which is the team was undisciplined. They were out there messing around and they let a stupid play just kill them. And they lost a game they should have won. And if you're the Commanders, you look and you're like, okay, that's what good teams do. We somehow pull out wins and we beat teams that we're supposed to. And moving forward, I think, in no world is Jaden Daniels not the rookie of the year. And I mean, it sucks. Like if Caleb Williams would have been even C+ game, I think he goes like for the first 3 quarters, they win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, and I think I agree with your point about the coaching. Like Caleb Williams looked really good on those last 2 drives, but why can't we do that early in games? Like this is someone was saying that he's putting up Tebow stats because he's only getting let loose in the fourth quarter. That's when he's at his best, when he's kind of just letting it flow. He's moving quick. He doesn't have to think so much. He's getting out of the pocket. But during the game, you should have a game plan catered towards Caleb Williams to try to get him some easy throws, to try to get some success. And I feel like this coaching staff really isn't doing a great job of using him. And when you look at it, it's a defensive coach who everyone was kind of like, okay, it's weird that we're not getting an offensive-minded coach to pair with Caleb Williams, but we'll see how it works out. But if you look at the other end with Dan Quinn, a defensive coach, and it's all working because the defense is getting better, Jaden Daniels is performing, they're doing what he does best, and they're winning games. So is it really that he's a defensive coach, he can't help out Caleb, or is it just that he's not the guy in Chicago? Like he's not the guy here. The locker room, it's young, it's immature, it's not disciplined. They can't close out games, and they're struggling in early parts of the game.
But it's not even that young of a roster with the Chicago Bears. I mean, realistically, they have vets in places that you need to have vets. It is the offensive coordinator. It's the coaching staff. If we're going to be completely honest, they should have let go of with Eberflus, and they had no reason to hire Luke Getsy as their offensive coordinator. They should have just started fresh. They should have been like, hey, you know what? We need to just completely wipe this regime. Like, there's no reason you deserved another quarterback. That you just shouldn't get that. So let's go ahead and wipe it. Let's wipe the stink off of us. Let's start fresh. Let's do what, again, the Washington Commanders just did. Even if they brought in a defensive guy, you hire a really good, capable guy at OC, and we run it together. I don't get that. Like, I
Do you
just
think
don't
they're
get
waiting
why you
on
keep the same
Ben?
guy who's a fucking loser.
Do you think they're waiting on Ben Johnson this offseason?
I don't know. I mean, if he wasn't going to take the job last year, what was he going to take the job this year for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Did you want to talk about? Let's talk about Jameis Winston coming out with quote after quote. My favorite was, "How's the sky the limit if we put people on the moon?" That was a classic Jameis one after the game. He looked
Hold on.
great.
I like the quote. He had 2 like quotes that I was like, okay, cool. The first one was we play for the name. We don't play for the name on the back of your jersey. We play for the name on the side of our helmets. Oh, we ain't got no decals.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Jameis
God.
is amazing. I think he's gonna have the best post NFL career. Just put him on everything on ESPN. But they beat the Ravens 29-24. Jameis, first quarterback, first time the Browns put up 20 points in a game this year. First time they in a long time they had a quarterback throw for 300 and 3 touchdowns. He looked amazing. I don't think Deshaun Watson's thrown for 300 yards since 2021.
Oof.
Was the stat.
We're in the year of 2020, my lord.
It's Jameis. I mean, it's Deshaun, right? He was the problem with this team because Joe Flacco comes in, looks great. This team is good. Jameis Winston comes in, looks great. This team is good. It was Deshaun the whole time, right? Everyone telling this coaching staff and this organization that it was Deshaun. It was Deshaun the whole time, right?
It has to be. I mean, realistically, and they even got rid of Amari Cooper this week. Like, so it's not like, oh, well, it's the same weapons. It is a weapon less, and he's doing more and taking out the Baltimore Ravens, which again, everyone thinks is a real top contender. And I think the Baltimore Ravens have their own flaws. This was such a Baltimore Ravens game where they just kind of, oh, we're gonna move it up and down the field. Our receivers are gonna forget to catch. Do you see that catch or the where Rashad Bateman got hit in the face?
Yeah.
And it's
And then
like,
he
what are
goes,
we
"That's
doing?
on me. That's on me." Yeah, no shit, that's on you. Hit you in the fucking face.
Right in the grill, bro. Like, what are we doing? So I think it was a combo of like the Browns playing hard under Jameis, and the Ravens just drop games that they're not supposed to. Like these are games that elite teams just don't lose, and so it makes you look at them sideways whenever they do blow out a shit team, and you're like, oh, okay, these are the Baltimore Ravens, and it's like, but what about the playoffs? How are we going to look? But yeah, 100%. This is a Deshaun Watson problem. And I think this kind of deepens the problem because now what do you do? Of course, Deshaun Watson's going to be out the rest of the year. He might even go into next season out, but you're still going to be paying him. You can't afford to pay this guy astronomical money and still pay another starting caliber quarterback to be on your team and have a viable roster. So it just deepens the problem of like, damn, like, because if Jameis would have went out there and just laid an egg and been like, okay, like it's because of the roster, then at least you can be like, okay, we could shape it however we want to, like the narrative, like, okay, well, look, it wasn't Deshaun, but obviously it is. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a problem, not just this year, but for years to come because they haven't locked him up.
And it's not like Jameis was perfect. Like there was 3 or 4 interceptions that were dropped by the Ravens, which is another one of their problems, the secondary. But
Yeah.
yeah, he wasn't perfect, but he made great plays when he needed to make great plays. And it wasn't just that. The team looked completely different energy wise. They looked like they gave a shit. They were on the sideline when the Ravens went on the field to try to go out and win it. The Browns were on the sideline, jumping up and down, hyping up the crowd. They were all celebrating, going crazy. They just looked locked in and they looked like they cared compared to when Deshaun was out there. They're kind of just going through the motions. Like they don't feel like they have a shot to win. And that's the biggest thing in the NFL. If you feel like the team is making decisions that aren't in the best interest of winning, then you lost the team. And that's what I think was happening with Deshaun.
Yeah, 100% because that's dudes' livelihoods. And if you have an average of the league of like 3 years and you know, okay, like if I'm going to make it in this league and it's only going to be for 3 years, I don't want to be playing meaningless games and have like this tag with me of like being a loser. If you're making decisions that are like you knowingly are throwing out this quarterback that sucks ass and is gonna like just doesn't care about his job, we are lost as a huge organization. I'm not gonna go out there and play hard. I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna go ahead and showcase what I can. I'm gonna play like me ball instead of team ball. And that if like that is what you were seeing with the Cleveland Browns, and now you have a guy in Jameis Winston who not only does the speeches, who does the like things off the field, he does it on the field as well. And he has the ability to uplift people and make sure that they are highlighting and showcasing their best abilities. I mean, look at Tillman stepped on and had an amazing game. Like, and we were like, okay, like I even forgot he was on the roster.
Yeah, and on the Ravens side, like we've been saying this all year. One week they look like the most dominant team in the NFL, and the next week they just kind of lay an egg, and you just don't know where this Ravens team is going to fall at the end of it. In the playoffs, like what team is going to show up? I told you before this game, I think Ravens have to win this game, not because it's just the Browns or it's division, but like if you're going to be a Super Bowl team, this is a game where that you win against a team with their backup quarterback. They're not that great. They just traded away a weapon, and they just haven't been performing how we thought they were. The Chiefs win this game, I think 10 times out of 10. Even though you get the Jameis bump, you get the energy, everything, I think the Chiefs win this type of game. And the Ravens just aren't consistent enough to do that. Their defense has really a lot of flaws. Their offense, it's clearly, I mean, they traded for Deontay Johnson. So maybe that really evens out, but I don't think he's a number one. I think he's maybe a solid 2, maybe a 3. But you have an issue with playmakers on this team.
100%. And I think too, this is like the perfect alignment for the Browns. Like everything just lined up the way it was supposed to. You have Jameis starting. It's Halloween. Myles Garrett got all dressed up and he was feeling himself. I think that this was the perfect storm. And you're playing the Ravens, a team that you know you're not afraid of. But like if we put up a strong showing, we are going to solidify ourselves as maybe a frisky team. I think that they got up for this game and they were ready to roll.
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple of teams,
Let's
but
talk about
not
the
so much the
Colts.
game. Yeah, I was gonna say the Colts. I really didn't care about this Texas game, but because I felt like Texas were gonna win it with Anthony Richardson at quarterback, I feel like the Colts have an uphill battle every time. He went like what 10 for 32 or something ridiculous like that.
Right now, let me see.
Yeah, he was 10 for
But 10 for
32.
32 with 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
And the crazy thing is, like, he's really bad at throwing the ball. They were in this game. They were in this game. He threw an interception going into halftime that put them in scoring range. That is a huge, huge misstep for NFL quarterback. And then on the play everyone's talking about, 3rd and goal, checks himself out because he was tired. And what I was upset about, not just that he just checked himself out, after the game when they asked him, "Hey, your completion percentage is terrible. Like, what's up with that?" He said, I'm a running quarterback. I can do what only Lamar Jackson in the league can do." So if you're not worried about throwing the ball and you're saying, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter because I run," why are you tired when you're running and checking yourself out of the game? Lamar runs all kinds and he never checks himself out. If that's your main thing, why the fuck are you out of shape? And I think the Colts took this more like they obviously took this serious because they look like a joke. And Anthony Richardson thought it was going to be all fucking sunshine and daisies after this game.
I mean, I had heard like Daniel Jeremiah talk about this, and he was like, and I had the same thought, like, at least have the fucking decency to lie, make something up, say you were injured, like, because the way he did fall, they're like, oh, okay, well, he got up, he was a little bit like, was it his hip again? Is that something that is reoccurring? At least be like, hey, yeah, you know what? Or like they were saying, why not just burn a timeout there? Or like, hey, say you're injured, stay down on the ground, catch your breath, take a knee, do something. But like, you can't, as starting quarterback, check yourself out of the game. That is one position that you are not going to be able to do. Like, you can't quit on your team like that. And I think that's how the roster viewed it. And I think that's how the coaching staff viewed it. And I think that's why they pulled him. They said, hey, we're not doing this. And I think maybe they keep him and they reset next year. And it's like, hey, we're ready for sit down behind Joe, learn from him, and we'll see what we got next year. We'll evaluate you. But he's not going to get better by sitting and waiting and evaluating. Like, he's just not. I mean, I don't know where this thought came from, and I think I know where it came from, where we are taking bad quarterbacks that have bad quarterback play, that have never been good in college, and now moving them to the NFL and being like, oh, well, they have the traits of a really good quarterback. But did you watch the tape? Like, he's ass. Like, what are we doing? Why are we taking him so high? Like, you can't save him. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. Like,
Yeah,
why?
and
Why are we doing this?
it's the whole thing of like, well, he's not going to get better sitting. Like, is he going to get better playing? Like, we don't know that he's going to be good. That's the thing. Like, he's so bad right now. I told you yesterday, he's like 4 80-yard pass touchdowns away from being one of the worst quarterbacks ever drafted that high. Like, other than his highlight plays, he has been awful. He cannot hit consistent throws. He's so inaccurate. He wasn't good in college. He barely played in college. Didn't he barely play in high school?
Yeah, if I was Joe Milton, I would fucking sue Anthony Richardson. I would sue Anthony Richardson because now I'm not going to get a shot because of you, because you're ass and you're costing me. Like, if everyone was comparing me to you, I'm pissed.
Yeah, it's insane. But Flacco, I'm hyped. Flacco comeback player of the year again?
That's crazy, back to back.
All right, let's
So do you think they made the right choice? I know a lot of people are like, this is the wrong choice. So I see the point of view of like thinking this is the wrong choice. We got a guy that was a project, and you're expecting him to be a star. I understand that thought process, and it is a stupid move because you took him number 4 overall. But and my thought process is if this guy is quitting on the team, we cannot continue to roll him out there. We will sit him and we will say next year we will evaluate our process and see what we are doing wrong and maybe we can get it fixed, and if not we will ship him out. But you cannot continue to roll this guy out. That is stupid. But am I crazy here? Like cuz I'm seeing a lot of people being really upset and being like why do that's malpractice by them.
No,
They should know that he is not the guy. I think they know that he's not the guy. I'm pretty sure.
they're setting the tone for the culture. I think it's more of an issue than okay, he's tired and he went out. It's an issue starting way back in the offseason. Why are you not working on things to get more accurate? Yeah, you're coming off an injury, but that should be your main focus. You should have came back more accurate this season. Why are you not doing things to be in shape in mid-season so that you don't have to check yourself out of a football game? I think it's a longer term issue that shows he hasn't been taking this shit serious. Like he's just showing up and being like, "Well, I'm more athletic. I can run. I'm gonna just play hero ball and do. I'm gonna be Cam Newton without the throwing. Like I'm just gonna do that by showing up." And I think that's really the problem. And you can't have your fucking leader of the team, quarterback, setting that kind of culture because the rest of the guys are just gonna be like, "Are we a joke here? Like, what are we doing?" Veterans are gonna really not respect him and then not respect the coaches for rolling with him, and young guys are gonna buy into that and do the same thing. So Joe Flacco, yes, he's older. He's better than Anthony Richardson right now. He gives you a good shot at making the playoffs. You're 4-4. I really understand the move, and I think Anthony Richardson needs to wake the fuck up and realize they're not just gonna hand it to you because you're a number 4 pick. Like this isn't the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, look at we just seen with the San Francisco 49ers, Trey Lance, he's out of there. He's gone for Mr. Irrelevant. And so it doesn't matter your draft position when it comes down to it. If you're not playing well, like you're going to get everybody fired. And we're not going down with this ship. We are not going down with the Anthony Richardson ship. We have things that we want to do and we have a culture that we need to set for this organization. And if you are not living up to that, we cannot co-sign on you.
Let's talk about the Cowboys. I like that you brought up Trey Lance because Cowboys, it really wasn't as close as the score felt. They lost by 6 to the Niners, but it was garbage time Dak again. And I saw Cowboy fans, I think, are searching for anything to like cling on to be like, oh, we have hope. They think Trey Lance. There's some fans that think Trey Lance could be the future of this team, and he should get in some wildcat formations. He should get in there and run the wishbone. He should run the ball. Are people forgetting that Trey Lance is not that fast? Trey Lance is in the NFL, is not a great athlete. We saw him for the 49ers, and they try to make him a running quarterback. This guy's not a running quarterback, and he hasn't even been great in preseason. Is Trey Lance an option for the Cowboys at this point?
No, 100% no. And you had a full year to evaluate Trey Lance. And if the coaching staff, who Mike McCarthy, like 100% did not want to make the move, and he was like, okay, well, you gave me this guy. I don't even think he's good enough to be our third string quarterback, but I guess like we'll have him on the roster because Jerry made that move. Like he would have let you know, like, okay, yeah, I think we can move off of Dak and we can go ahead and go with Trey Lance. But they signed Dak Prescott, so I don't even know what the deal is. Like, why be like, oh, bring in Trey Lance? Like, you signed this guy to a long-term deal the first week. Like, you are committed to him. You are committed to CeeDee Lamb, and that is literally your entire team. It's Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and a rotating cast of guys now for the next 5 years. So good luck with that. I think this is the downfall of the Dallas Cowboys. They've committed too much money into these guys that are not going to take them over the top, that are not going to make them contenders. And so, I mean, that's just going to be it. Welcome to mediocrity, bud.
The problem is they didn't sign them soon enough, and
Yeah.
the money just inflated. So you got Michael Parsons, who didn't play, CeeDee Lamb, who's a great receiver, but he's your only weapon on offense, literally your only weapon on offense. Dak Prescott, who looks like he's just regressed a lot. And maybe it's just too many injuries. Maybe he just doesn't have the weapons because CeeDee Lamb's over there getting doubled. the defense has really taken a step back. Javon Diggs, I mean, he was always it's either going to be you're getting burnt or get an interception. He was always boomer bust kind of guy, and the picks just aren't coming as frequently as they were. So I just don't. You have nowhere to go with this Cowboys team. There's not hope, but because they're the Cowboys, everyone's going to hype them up every year, and it's really just going to be, I think, another 2 or 3 years before they can work some of these contracts down and make some other plays.
Yeah, they've put themselves in a really bad position. I think Jerry Jones does need to just take a step down and not be the GM anymore because he's made really bad calls the last 3 years. Like, what? I don't get how they got to this space where a couple of years ago, they were stacked and their roster was stacked and they were scary, but they just couldn't get over the hump. Now it's like you can't even sniff the playoffs with this roster. What are we doing here? You have the worst running back core in the entire league. Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott would have been a great duo 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but now it's like, what are we doing? Why is that our tandem? And so I just think I think they're screwed for the next 3 years at least, bare minimum.
What if they draft Shador?
They're not. They're not. They just signed Dak Prescott to a mega deal. What are we talking about? Don't be stupid.
I think this.
Cowboys
I
fan,
think
you're fucked. You are fucked. Speaking of Cowboys fans, you guys are fucked. You just sit there and eat it. Like you've made the
who's
decision. You wanted to ride with Jerry. That's it.
who's more fucked, the Jets or the Cowboys? That's a good question.
The Cowboys, 100%, because they've tied money to this long-term deals to this roster, and this roster is not great. And there's not a whole lot of wiggle room within this roster. And at least with the Jets, Aaron Rodgers can retire. You're in a great spot to draft somebody. Hey, at least we know what doesn't work, and it is letting an old quarterback just dictate the roster. Now you can be like, hey, we wiped our hands clean. We're going to get a new coach in here next year. It's a rebirth of the organization. For this year, it's going to be trash. It's going to feel bad. It's going to hurt. But at least you see a light at the end of the tunnel. For the Cowboys, there is no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think the downfall started when Jerry said the quote, his hand doesn't get cramps writing checks. And then he proceeded to not want to write checks for his star players. So
When he said 8 inches soft.
that put the cap on it. All right, let's talk Chiefs.
Let's talk 49ers on this game.
Oh, 49ers. All right.
They head into the bye week. They get a win. You got to feel good about it. Hopefully, they get a little bit healthier. Ricky Purcell actually looked really good. If we can start to get a little bit healthy, I think the bye week comes at a perfect time. How did you feel about this this performance against the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, I didn't feel amazing about it. I know they got up, but there were still cracks there. The defense stepped up. Bosa made a couple plays, and Ricky Pearsall is a solid possession receiver. I don't think he really jumped out with his speed or flash or anything, but I think he gave us something that we were missing without Juwan, like someone we can go to who's going to make a catch 5 to 10 yards down the field. Debo, if I wish they wouldn't have took away his touchdown in the beginning, but he just needed to get right. The bye week came at a perfect time for him. Kittle needs to be a bigger part of this offense. We see what happens when we use him, and I don't know why Kyle just refuses to make him a key part of the offense in the passing game. So McCaffrey is supposedly coming back. Dre Greenlaw is supposedly coming back soon. I think I don't know how much of a real contender this 49ers team is this year, but I can totally see them getting hot at the end and making a push towards the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, the bye week came at a perfect time. You need to get healthy. You need to start looking around and seeing what moves you can make. And I did see the list of players that they are looking to trade for. It is just a bunch of ex-49ers. Can we think outside of the box here, guys? Can we start to see the vision in other players? Because it's not, we don't need just guys that you're familiar with, but I get it. You know what you know what you have. So if they go out and get a Kendrick Bourne, that'd be a good piece. If they get DeForest Buckner, that would be even better. But I think this is a good step. It doesn't, at halftime, I was like, okay, we should be beating the snot out of this Dallas Cowboys team. We're not. end up pulling away the second half. Dak does what Dak does, and garbage time all-star. But you got to feel good about it. It's another win under your belt. You just got to keep racking those up, and hopefully you get healthy enough for the big playoff push.
Yeah, that's going to be all the time we have for the NFL. But I just want to say really quickly, stop trading good players to the Chiefs. Stop. Rest of the league, what are you doing trading players to the Chiefs?
We should be boycotting the Chiefs. This is ridiculous.
And at least get a second-round pick or a third-round pick for these guys. You're giving the Chiefs ammunition for nothing. But yeah. All right, that's all we have for this one today, guys. Make sure you subscribe, please. Comment, like, share, do all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
Later.